welcome back and congratulations on surviving the Season of Light. With December happening in a few days, we have 3 months of a new season known as Mythical Wishes. So, they recently, I think earlier today, announced new news regarding the Go Tour Hoenn, um, and an in-person event in Las Vegas, as well as the release of Primal Kyogre and Groudon in the future. I'll talk about those on stream when I have a chance to read it, but I am going to mostly cover news regarding the entire event as well as the PvP changes that are relevant. I will put a time stamp in the YouTube video for those who want to skip the news and move straight into the PvP related aspects. However, we are going to try to speed through everything, talk about all the relevant things, so that people have a very, very quick snapshot of what to expect. So, the seasonal bonuses, it's going to be somewhat holiday related with Christmas in December, but we are going to have also a lot of these events happen alongside the Hoenn Tour, which is the third generation of Pokemon that is in the Pokemon franchise. So let's start with things that we're going to get the entire season. So right under me and on my right, we're going to follow through the notes that I've kind of jotted down. If you are interested in following through text or just reading the document, I will post that in the link description in the description box below. But let us begin. So, regarding the entire season, we're going to have a new set of bonuses, a new set of research breakthrough, and this time we get a bit of the old stuff as well as a bit of new, fun, interesting, actually useful things. So most importantly for PvP players, we are going to get XL candies from trades. They are going to be guaranteed alongside the extra one that a lot of events usually provide. And then for most players, they do enjoy opening extra gifts, especially with events happening every single weekend in December. You will be able to open 40 gifts as well as send 125 gifts. So you want to make sure that you're doing both so that, you're everybody's getting something out of it. So some of these bonuses are becoming permanent, although they are bonuses which I do feel like should have been permanent to begin with. For example, guaranteed gifts from Pokestops. Why was that not a thing? And then increased incense effectiveness while moving was the bonus that they said that we would get after nerfing it. So moving forward, we have our research breakthrough encounters. The three of these are very nice and very fresh, with Galarian Mr. Mime being a new shiny in Pokemon Go for the first time. Delibird, also a very nice seasonal one, and Furfrou is relatively new with, I believe, 7, 8, 10 forms, something like that. But they do come alongside Bagon, Dino, and Gumi. It will be a roulette between all 6 of these Pokemon for the entire season, so keep that in mind. You might get 6 Galarian Mr. Mimes, 10 Goomies, or I don't know, something like that. So, have fun, good luck. Hopefully you'll catch or encounter a shiny Galarian Mr. Mime. So, all of the important news throughout the mostly month of December will be found inside the calendar that they provide. Last season, they failed to update this calendar time and time again, but we do see the core aspects of the weekly things that we are expecting to see, such as the spotlight hours and the raid days. So, spotlight hours every Tuesday at 6 to 7 local time starts with Wooper on the first week. Wooper will be shiny. It is something that's been around for a while, but most importantly, you get 2 times Stardust. The week after that, Spheal, for those who are still looking for good Walrein IVs and catching EXP. Bergmite will be shiny for the first time, and 2 times Candy. Well, not very useful. We're not going to be looking at Avalugg in the Master League or in raids anytime soon, but that's also a kind of a teaser for what's going to happen on that Saturday as well, which they have not put into the calendar, as I kind of hinted that they don't update things properly. And then last but not least, we have Cubchoo at the end of the month, a shiny that's usually featured in December because of the Christmas season and snow and stuff like that. But the only thing this thing's good for is for 2 times transferring candy. If you have, traded a bunch of things that are worth maybe a candy or two, it'd be good to keep them and hold on to them until this December 27th date to just transfer a bunch of, whether it's Lickitung, Onyx, Noctowl, or, Sableye, right? Lots of good XL things you might want to trade and then transfer for. So let's head back to the start of the month. Raid hours. So this season is going to be, this month is going to be themed around these sorts of justice. We're going to have Virizion, Terrakion, and then Cobalion. And last but not least, I guess a break from raids. We have Curum, unless they announce maybe a different move or something, or a different form. Not really worth looking forward to. But with the 3 Swords of Justice, they have recently, in the previous season, learned the move Double Kick. It gives it a lot of high energy generation and same type attack bonus for fighting moves, which has made Virizion and Cobalion very relevant in the Ultra League. Terrakion is going to be a raid relevant Pokemon more than anything else, with extremely high attack as well as a kind of a bad typing. So that kind of evens out its viability in maybe Master League or maybe Ultra. So it can still be used in PvP for a bit of fun, but you're looking at Terrakion as the best fighting type Pokemon for raids, and a pretty decent rock type attacker as well. So, for new bosses, we usually get a new Mega every month or two. And in this case, it is going to be Mega Glalie. Mega Glalie is going to have the highest attack stat in all of Pokemon, Ice type Pokemon currently in Pokemon Go. So let's take a quick look at the attackers for fighting type Pokemon. Here we see Terrakion standing above every other fighting type Pokemon that can be used. So as I mentioned, best fighting type Pokemon. And then here between all of the megas, let me switch to my Pokebox. We can see Mega Glalie would even overpower Mega Abomasnow. So those are good raiders for you to raid. So next up, our first event of the season is going to be Mega Sceptile, Mega Blaziken, Mega Swampert debut in heading to Hoenn Mega Raid Day. So it's just a Hoenn Mega Raid Day featuring all 3 Mega Evolutions of the starters. These 3 just best raiders in their category. They are the best grass, firefighting, and water type attackers in all of Pokemon Go, just like how Glalie is the best ice type attacker in Pokemon Go once released. So, because they are being put in Mega Raids, you will be able to catch them in their final form, and in their final form, during the event, you will learn their signature moves, Frenzy Plant, Blast Burn, and Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon Swampert we know is good in PvP all over the place, every league, so getting a hundo one of those is pretty nice. It is also a little bit of a teaser for the end of PvP season. The last week of the Go Battle League season will be featuring Mega Pokemon again in the Open Master League, allowing you to use Mega Swampert potentially down the line. But we're going to talk about more about that later. So you will get 5 free raid passes, increased shiny chance, and then if you really want, you can spend $5 to get more bonuses. That's if you want. So there are like a number, like 5-6 more events happening in December, but they haven't really posted anything about it. However, there has been teasers and notices about a Mythic Blade event happening on December 6th to December 11th. That would probably be in the theme with the Swords of Justice, blade, justice, swords thing. We don't know what it is yet, but probably something of the like. And then on December 10th, we have Keldeo Special Research during the weekend on December 10th and 11th. It is going to probably be a season-long event for you to catch Keldeo and maybe even get the different Keldeo forms. The reason why I have Mega Tyranitar on the screen is because I want to show you how relevant Keldeo is. Keldeo is not going to be a better attacker than Machamp. This is a level 50 Keldeo, and that is a level 40 Machamp. So not that much better because low kick is a terrible move. And then I wanted to also show Keldeo's in here somewhere. No, it's not. Okay, don't worry about it. Its moveset is really bad. It has Poison Jab, Close Combat, and Aqua Jet or X Scissor. It's not very powerful, and its maximum combat power is going to be the exact same as Terrakion. And if Terrakion cannot compete, then Keldeo with a lesser moveset definitely will not. So, moving forward, the next event is going to be the Winter Holiday Event Part 1 on December 15th to 23rd. It is going to be a two-part event with the second part happening on December 23rd to the 31st. So it's 1 week-ish. And Winter Holiday Part 2 will continue your special research because these special researches are season time locked, not wanting you to progress through the entire thing right off the bat. And then December Community Day weekend, rather, would be on December 17 and 18. So all these things that aren't week-long events are going to happen on weekends. And last but not least, Christmas event. Winter Wonderland will feature Hisuian Avalugg Raid Day on the Saturday at 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It has a similar moveset. Well, not a similar moveset. It has a similar stat product to regular Avalugg. They are both extremely bulky, but have a decent amount of attack. I'm showing you the main series kind of stats because we don't have it in Pokemon Go yet. We don't have the translation, and nor do we have the moveset just yet. So, Ice Rock typing can tell you enough about how viable this is going to be. Worst type combination in the entire game, so we can forget about it. So let's close that as well. So, we do have Keldeo here. I found it. Poison Jab, X Scissor, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Hydro Pump. Water fighting type's just a big Poliwrath, but it is very attack weighted, so its total stat product is going to be much lower than other Pokemon. So don't worry about Keldeo being relevant in anything until they give it new moves or something like that. And then a little kind of step back into Blaziken, Sceptile, and Swampert. Blaziken, this thing is pretty attack weighted, doesn't have much bulk, so it's gonna faint even though it's high combat power. Sceptile, Grass and Dragon, very bad typing. You're not going to hit anything for super effective with Grass, and you're not going to survive very much as while being a dragon. And then Swampert, you know, it was good as a regular Swampert, so Mega just improves it. It might be able to compete with some of the most popular Megas such as Gyarados and Charizard in the Open Master League when that comes around. So that is the news regarding the season. And with that being said, we are now going to move into the GBL related news. So, GBL. Okay. Go Battle League Mythical Wishes update. This season, they don't actually have too many changes to Pokemon Go moves. However, there are things worth mentioning, and there is going to be a slight shift in the meta because one of the most annoying things in the world, Poison Jab, has been nerfed, very rightfully so. So, Go Battle League Mythical Wishes start date, rank resets, end of season rewards, pretty standard. It follows the main season timeline with resets happening every Thursday because that is when December 1st begins. So, Go Battle League Mythical Wishes schedule. We have the entire schedule following what we had last season. 2 weeks of the standard meta rotating between Great, Ultra, and Master, and then special meta rotates every single week. That leaves us with, once again, a final 2 weeks of just Master League, which means if you cannot play Master League like me, then cut your season 2 weeks short. Keep that in mind. Regarding Classic Cups, Niantic says, we made a terrible system, but you guys have to live with it, so we're going to cancel Classic Cups after this season, and there will only be 1 week of Ultra Premier Classic, as well as 1 week of Master Premier Classic. So keep that in mind. You can start powering up your Pokemon after those 2 weeks are gone. If you have a level 40 Snorlax, Metagross, Dragonite, screw it. Build it up. You can use it in Raid finally. So there are going to be 2 Go Battle days. One of these are Go Battle weekends because with all the events in December, they don't have time to put a Go Battle day in December. So we have a Go Battle week in January 14th, 15th with 4 times Stardust rewards, as well as the regular timed research, no special spawn. And then in February 12th, we will have the Vulpix featured Go Battle Day, which will have boosted shiny Vulpix, which will allow you to get another Charge TM again, Elite Charge TM, and Evolving Ninetales will allow you to learn Ember, which will not, coincide with a Frustration Shadow Ninetales, so you can kind of TM that because it's a fast move versus a charge move Frustration. Make sure you just evolve it before you even need to worry about TMing Frustration off. So one of these will be in Ultra and Love Cup. The other will allow you to play all 3 metas during that time frame. Let me move a little bit forward. There is also the standard 500 win timed research battle pass, as we know it is in other games. In this season, they're recycling old rewards known as the Steven Stone pose, which is now animated. That's the only thing that's new about it. Apart from that, it's just being recycled. I think the clothes look slightly different, but I don't really care because it's the same thing to me. So let's keep going. We have move changes. Okay, we're gonna skip past all these metas. We'll talk about the metas on stream if we get close to those states. But attack changes: Wing Attack, Poison Fang, and Charm. Let me just start with the one that doesn't really matter that much. 16 to 15 power is not that much. With Stab and Shadow, it might matter, but overall, it's not a big difference. 5.33 damage per turn to 5 damage per turn is not that big of a difference. Charms will still be able to knock you out in the 2 shields. It might allow you to survive very specific 1 shield scenarios if you have a very bulky Pokemon, but apart from that, don't worry about it. Wing Attack, it is going to likely be increased from 3.5 energy per turn to 4 energy per turn. What this means is we're probably going to see a massive influx of Pelipper, Knockdown, Mantine, and Ducklet in the Little Cup. Pelipper and Noctowl are going to be the biggest winners, allowing it to overpower potentially Galarian Stunfisk. Mostly talking about Noctowl, which beats Galarian Stunfisk in the 1 and the 2 shields. I don't have a PV book open for it, but super overpowered. Lots of energy generation to make sure you get consistent non-bait matchups, as well as being able to spam a very powerful charge move that it uses by default, whether that's Weather Ball or Skytech between the 2 Pokemon. So Mantine, why we see an improvement there is because it is a fairly bulky Pokemon, and being able to get off those bubble beams right off the bat is very nice because it is 40 energy, and you are going to be able to get it in 5 fast moves, and you don't have these awkward kind of energy gaps. Charizard, I think, is also going to feel much better because it is, for the first time, Charizard's going to be able to get the energy it needs for Blast Burn, so that's going to be Ultra League relevant as well. Pokemon like Gliscor and Galarian Moltres is going to be slightly improved, but they are still bait-dependent Pokemon. And then last but not least, Pidgeot is going to pivot into maybe a more energy-based moveset, being able to spam more of the debuffs. Or last but not least, we have Golbat, which is going to be affected by both Wing Attack and Poison Fang. Poison Fang is going to get an energy increase, likely from 35 to 40, and then Wing Attack is going to generate more energy. So it's still 5 to a Poison Fang. However, what this affects is Nidoqueen not being able to go 5 to a Poison Fang. So going up to a 6 Poison Fang is actually going to be a detriment, because when you are a fast move dependent Pokemon, every single fast move matters, every single turn matters, every single slight damage increase matters. So being able to kind of stall that debuff is going to help a lot of Pokemon survive, whether that's Trevenant, Sableye, Toxicroak, Beedrill. Lots of things are going to beat this because it just barely survives. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that because Poison Fang is now a 40 energy charge move, you can't bait as efficiently with Earth Power with Poison Fang to get to an Earth Power, or whether that's a Stone Edge or whatever your playstyle is. So Nidoqueen gets a massive nerf, which I love. But Golbat, because Wing Attack and Poison Fang is still following the same kind of energy pacing, it's the Shadow Ball that you can slightly make it to a little bit faster, but Shadow Ball has never been super relevant. With the slightly increased energy generation to make it to Shadow Ball, it's still going to have the same playstyle, and it's still going to need to bait because Golbat is not going to be able to knock out things with Wing Attack and Poison Fang alone because we didn't get a damage increase. They both just kind of pivoted into the energy, new energy cost together. So, attack availability updates. We have new moves on new Pokemon. A lot of these are actually very useless because we have some of the worst charge moves being added to Pokemon Go and then added onto some of the worst Pokemon possible in Pokemon Go Great League PvP. So let's start from the top. We have Litleo and Pyroar learning Incinerate. Fire moves. Out of all the fire moves, Incinerate's definitely the best one with solid damage and high energy generation. However, it is a 5-turn move. It's very clunky. And then when we look at Litleo and Pyroar, they have fairly high attack stats. And then when we look at the typing, Fire's a bad typing, Normal doesn't really serve it much. And then last but not least, when we look at the charge moves, a 50 energy charge move is very expensive. It's just a combination, the synergy. It is an improvement for both of these Pokemon, but they don't actually serve any purpose in the Great or the Ultra League. If anything, you could use Incineroar for the Ultra League. So that's a typo. Aha. So next up, we have Meteor Beam, the move that was introduced during Roggenrola Community Day. It is a fairly powerful moveset, but it is also 60 energy. It is the most expensive rock-type charge move, and it hits hard, yes, but it's not that much better than charge moves such as Stone Edge and Rock Slide, which pretty much all of these Pokemon that are learning Meteor Beam already has. Sudowoodo has Stone Edge and Rock Slide. Aggron has Stone Edge, Tyrantrum. The Pokemon's just bad. You don't have to worry about it. But Aurorus had Ancient Power. So that's where you see a pivot, maybe from Ancient Power to Meteor Beam. And then if you get if you wall off a flying type, you're able to spam a lot of weather balls, which might make that Pokemon relevant in both Great and Ultra League. But apart from that, it's not anything that's going to be super meta relevant. Next up, we have the Poltergeist move, which was given to Chandelure. Poltergeist is, yes, the hardest hitting ghost type move, but Shadow Ball is right below that with 20 less energy cost. So with that being said, I think we start with Gourgeist, which already has Shadow Ball, so it doesn't really affect anything. Golurk has Mud Slap, which means that it will never make it to a 75 energy charge move. And then Dusclops has Hex, Shadow Punch. It has enough ghost type moves. And you're better with Return. Return has almost the same efficiency when you add Stab to the move even after that. And it's a little bit cheaper, so you really wouldn't want Shadow Punch and Poltergeist. It doesn't really make sense to go triple Ghost. It's a terrible addition. And then moving into actual useful moves, Galarian Rapidash with high horsepower. This is the first time it's going to be able to actually deal with Steel-type Pokemon. In fact, you have Galarian Rapidash beating Pokemon such as Bastiodon because of the energy generation that you get with either Cycle Cut or Fairy Wind. So this allows Rapidash some play against Galarian Stunfisk, Bastiodon, and a bunch of different Pokemon. It's honestly just a massive upgrade. This is probably the biggest winner for the entire move update. Next up, we have Piloswine and Mamoswine. Piloswine is kind of a niche meta pick, but Mamoswine we use in the Open Master League or Premier Classic, whatever. it used to have Bulldoze. Bulldoze is 60 energy charge move, so is High Horsepower, but High Horsepower actually does more damage, which actually allows Mamoswine to beat Metagross for the first time. Bulldoze does not knock out. High Horsepower wouldn't fully knock out, but with a little bit of Powder Snows, it ends up beating it in a lot of scenarios. It will help it with the Dialga matchup. It will help it with Metagross, as well as a few other different steel types. Excadrill you don't have to worry about because Avalanche destroys that thing anyways. And then last move update is going to be Brutal Swing on Galarian, Weezing, and Ampharos. So starting with the Galarian Weezing, it has a very awkward moveset before Brutal Swing. Having a 40 energy charge move means it now takes over as the new bait move over Sludge, Play Rough, whatever. Yes, Fairy Wind generates a lot of energy, but all of those charge moves are just very average. Brutal Swing is a good charge move, even for being a non-stab charge move. It is also 40 energy, which allows you to spam in certain scenarios, and last but not least, it allows you to have coverage move and bait potential for the overheat. So against something like a Galarian Stunfisk, you don't win in the one shield if they straight Earthquake, but you get fairly close. A little bit of chip damage, which means that in the two shield, if you get enough Fairy Winds off, that's doable. Or you actually outpace it by quite a bit because you are very baity. So next up, we have Ampharos, mostly in the Ultra League. Straight Brutal Swing. Let's take a look at a couple matchups. You very, very closely, go almost toe-to-toe against Giratina. And then Cresselia, you ain't got no problem against. You win in all three scenarios. Amazing. And last but not least, Trevenant. This is massive. You're going to get beta nuked, so we have, the option to remove Seed Bomb. Hey, you win the 0 and 2. So Ampharos is going to see a lot of play, especially if Wall Rain is going to be a little more popular and people might get back into the feel of it. But it's got the same damage and energy cost as Thunder Punch, so it's just a different pivot, and Thunder Punch is kind of unnecessary when you have Volt Switch, and some people run Zap Cannon. You can run Bolt, Brutal Swing, and Focus Blast if that's what you feel like, but it's good. It's good. Ampharos is going to see some play for sure. So that's all of the move updates. I'm going to quickly talk about what I think about the meta and how it might change. So Wing Attack on Pelipper and Noctowl will boost the numbers that we do see in the meta, and then that will make a pivot in the meta. That will force players to pick up more anti-flying type Pokemon that will more efficiently deal with Pelipper and Noctowl. Galarian Stunfisk is going to lose, ironically, to both of these Pokemon. So with Galarian Stunfisk being the best tank at the moment, people might pivot back into Registeel, or I definitely think it's going to be Walrein because Trevenant was unaffected in this patch. And then because Shadow Swampert can knock out a Noctowl into Hydro Cannons, we're probably going to see more pivots into the Shadow form of Swampert. With Wing Attack on Charizard, we're probably going to see a much more consistent flying type attacker. So Charizard might take over Talonflame in the Ultra League. And then, like I said, Nidoqueen is going to drop in popularity. Charm doesn't really matter. Incinerate, useless. Meteor Beam, useless. Poltergeist, useless. This is just a slight improvement for Mamoswine. Galarian, Rapidash, and Weezing are going to see a little more play, but because they do still feel a little awkward, Galarian Rapidash has high attack stat, and then Galarian Weezing needs to bait quite a bit and has a very unique kind of typing, dual typing, so it makes it very awkward in some cases. So you're probably still not going to see too many of those, but people might be able to fit it into very unique teams or very unique metas as well. And then Ampharos, definitely Ultra League relevant. Okay, that's all the news. If you have any more questions, go check out my Twitch channel, or if you leave a comment below, I'll do my best to answer. And I'll probably see you in 3 months before I make a new video. So thank you all so much. Bye.